All right, guys, we've got a pretty awkward room, so if we could try and bunch up, make it a bit easier on our presenter. Or don't, your choice, whatever. I'd like to welcome to the stage Matt Berry, and he's presenting on the art of the socially engineered attack. Could you please make him feel welcome?
Hello. I'm currently caffeinating after a very large lunch, so in about 20 minutes I'm going to be bouncing off the walls. So yes, awkward room. I'm going to probably pace a lot. I'm a pacer. I can't point to that screen from all the way down here, so I may not get all my steps in today. But yeah, so today I thought I'd cover some of the pretty amazing socially engineered attacks that we see hitting customers here in Australia, hitting businesses here in Australia. I was actually out this morning running. I thought, actually, socially engineered attacks have been around for centuries. There's been the snake oil salesmen, there's been fraudsters and scammers since well before the internet. The old days of sending a paper invoice via snail mail in the hope that it gets paid is a form of social engineering. There's telemarketer scams, you name it. There's been so many, but I think what the internet has done and what email in particular has done is allowed scammers to be anywhere in the world sending these socially engineered attacks to any business in the world. So I'm going to cover off a few pretty clever examples today. I hope you enjoy them. A couple of little fun facts. Australians lost $2 billion last year to scammers. This is what is reported to the National Anti-Scam Centre. The number's actually down a quarter, 25% from the previous year for a couple of reasons. There is better awareness, and some of these groups that are listed here, Report Cyber, ID Care, Australian Financial Crimes and so on, have raised awareness. But there's also other ways to report cybercrime. So not all the reports went to this body. Some of the scams are so sophisticated that consumers don't even know they're a scam, so they're not reporting them. And there's a bit of reporting fatigue going on as well, which accounts for the reduced number. Today I'm going to focus mostly on payment redirection. It ranks number 3 behind investment scams and romance scams. We're all human at the end of the day. We all want to invest and make money. We all want to get romantically connected. But payment redirection has actually risen by about 66% from 2023, I should say. Threat actors have realized that that's a very simple thing to do, is to get a payment into their bank account through a bit of social engineering. Requires a lot less effort than trying to take over an account, distribute ransomware, develop the proxy infrastructure required for phishing. It's easier just to convince someone to pay to the wrong bank account. Some examples today. The first one is the lure of the law firm. And I work for Abnormal Security. We get to see that the threats that are arriving at businesses here in Australia, we see this one a lot. If you're in accounts payable and you get a lawyer chasing you for their client's money, you're probably going to pay attention. Threat actors have gotten very smart as well. In this example, you'll see what they're doing to make it even more convincing. This starts out with an email, supposedly from Michael, at Baker & McKenzie. Michael works in the debt recovery and resolution department of a big law firm. Holy crap. Why are they chasing an invoice that I haven't paid? Okay, I better do something. This actually went to the wrong distribution list, accounts receivable, but someone actioned it. Initially, this email starts out coming from a albertinc.com domain. That's quite clever, because if you have a tool that is looking for lookalike domains, so a domain that's sending that looks like Baker & McKenzie, it's not going to show from this sender domain. Outlook doesn't show a reply to address in this example. So there's, that's a standard thing. That's a real miss, I think, on Microsoft's behalf, that the user is not going to even know that the reply to address is something different. Threat actor has gone and registered Baker McKenzie's, with an S, law.com. I assume bakermckenzies.com was probably already taken by some other threat actor, or it had already been taken down. And so that the reply is now going to go to this fraudulent domain, supposedly to Michael. There's the real domain. Doesn't actually look like the threat actor created one. Threat actor created the domain 2 days before the attack. They paid for their domain registration, they're going to get money, get value out of it by using it in a threat campaign. So there's a reply. Can you please send us a copy of the invoice, perhaps? We then see Michael asking or talking to David saying, as discussed in our phone conversation, we need to get this paid. The attached invoice is still outstanding. We then see David replying, so the invoice has been approved for payment. What great news. And then finally, now Michael goes after Dennis, also from accounts payable, saying, appreciate your prompt response in accordance with David's instructions below. I'm forwarding the invoice for processing. Now, this is the final email that Dennis then forwards on to the correct email alias, accounts payable. So effectively endorsing that email, apparently been checked by David, and accounts payable is now going to go ahead and pay it because of the endorsement. But what's actually happening here, this conversation on the left is a thread at the bottom of this email. The two middle parts of that conversation never actually happened, completely fabricated by the threat actor. But it was built into the thread with all the correct sender, recipient, date stamps, the whole works, to make it look like a previous conversation had happened. That phone call never happened. David does work for this company. David is in finance, but the threat actor went and found his name on LinkedIn and just used that in the thread below. So quite clever, quite sophisticated, but actually nothing new. This has been going on for several years now, where these fabricated threads are used in the bottom to endorse a payment of an invoice. Looking at the invoice, I must say when I saw this, I thought, that looks pretty real. Maybe this is real. It's not a huge amount, 37,000 Australian. You probably think, oh yeah, maybe it's legit. Then you look at the author of the PDF in the PDF properties, and it's Canva. For those that don't know, a good Australian success story, great for making birthday cards, posters, and flyers, and invoices. So it's not coming from Xero or some accounting package. It's just been cleverly crafted in Canva. So looking at that first email, there's actually quite a bit wrong with this. If you look at the behavioral signals and compare them to baseline, firstly, this email came from Italy. The accounts payable who got this, or receivable I should say, has never had an email from Italy before. Also, the sender, albertinc.com, that domain, has never been seen sending an email from Italy before. So very clear behavioural signals here that are wrong. That's a very obvious red flag. The sender's unusual too. Mike at Albert Inc.'s not normal. There's a financial request. It's language suggesting some kind of payment fraud. So the intent of the email can easily be determined using GPT now. So these LLMs can just analyse an email and in seconds give you the intent. Also, the email was spoofed. So that very first email didn't even come from a real mailbox. Didn't pass authentication checks. Amazing this got through, and it got quite a way through this organisation. Let's flip this on its head now, and let's see a law firm being targeted. The threat actor has clearly gotten wind of a large amount of money, $916,000, being held in a trust account. It's been held in trust by a law firm on behalf of a company that's been liquidated. The money needs to go to the creditors. I'd imagine that the threat actor in this case got hold of someone's mailbox. They often buy these on the dark web. Some other criminal group goes and steals a mailbox and then sells it. Threat actors found correspondence relating to this large amount of money outstanding. So the threat actor created a .com.au email domain that matches the property developer in liquidation and has started using this email address to elicit this scam. Threat actor also created a financecompany.com.au domain that's also referenced in the original correspondence. By the way, each of these domains that the threat actor creates, they just put an S on the end. And also, you actually, I know in Australia, to get a .com.au, you have to have an ABN. You have to have a business name that looks like the email domain you want. It doesn't have to be your ABN. Threat actor can say, well, I want acme.com.au. Oh, and here's the ABN for acme.com.au. Cool, let's get acmes.com.au. Later on in the conversation, the threat actor also spins up the accounting firm that's going to act as the controller in this case. And the target here is the law firm. David is real. These three other people, Kevin and John, are actually real, but the threat actor is using their own version of Kevin and John. So the first email that comes out is from the finance company saying, hey, let's get the ball rolling. Let's get this $916,000 paid. Follow-up email, again, from the threat actor, but pretending to be the property developer saying, yes, please let's prepare to pay, pay up regarding this property liquidation, and there's attached payment instructions coming. David, I should say, at the law firm, is replying saying, I'll discuss with Chris and the team the form in which we need to receive the instruction. Being lawyers, they want to have formal instructions on how to pay. It needs to be signed off in the appropriate way. In the meantime, if you want to get Kevin to confirm with us the details of the account with which the money needs to go into, that'll speed things up. Imagine seeing that as the threat actor. Yes, I'll give you those bank details. Just give me a second. So now we see David has been trying to get another email back through to Kevin, but his firewall apparently won't let him because of suspicious content. Thankfully, on the threat actor's behalf, the very persistent David has found a way around those firewall checks. He's managed to send an email asking again to confirm the bank details. He's then named the controller business involved in the release of the money. Perfect for the threat actor. Threat actor goes and spins up the domain with an S on the end, .com.au for that controller. What else is our threat actor Kevin going to say? But yeah, those details are great. Let's go ahead. We then see threat actor then using the liquidation company as well. Sorry, the property developer. It's an untimely moment for a frog in my throat. Will you be needing further instructions from the controller? Yes, given the status of the company, we'll need to be formally instructed. Then this email from John, the property developer, to both the accounting firm that he's just spun up and back to David confirming that that's what's going to happen. Now, if you're a threat actor and you're working with a law firm, you may not know how to craft proper instructions on how to make a payment. So who do you ask? The lawyer. The lawyer here, more than happy to help, is then providing the instructions when he's back in the office tomorrow. This was actually sent on a Monday. It happens to be a public holiday, which indicates that the threat actor didn't know that. They were probably overseas at the time, eliciting this scam. But thankfully, the lawyer is checking his email on a public holiday. So then we now see the accounting firm. Please see the attached copy. Here are the payment instructions as per the lawyer's guidance. This is one of the funniest emails of all. David is now asking to please confirm that you are one and the same person as referenced in the ASIC search. Who's he asking? The threat actor. Yes, correct. That's me. Please proceed. It's basically asking the threat actor, are you a threat actor? This whole campaign almost got derailed because now the real Kevin that actually works for that finance company phoned into the law firm. Wasn't across this correspondence and then started asking, well, what is the payment details for this? Where are we up to? Luckily, for the threat actor, the real Kevin spoke to a colleague. And so the colleague wasn't really across the email correspondence. And then David then confirms, oh yes, my colleague reached out and here are the instructions that we've been working on. So it basically updates the threat actor on what's been going on. Now, this problem is actually very easy for a machine to detect. This is where a machine does a much better job than a human in looking for red flags. That the property developer domain was registered on the exact same day it was used. So it had been registered for 0 days when it was actually used. The registrar, domain directors, is a different registrar to the real domain for that company. So if you're watching for a lookalike domain, in this case we've pattern matched the threat actor's domain against the real one. The real domain was registered by a different registrar. All three were exactly the same. Used the same day as the attack and from a different registrar. In fact, they all use domain directors. Threat actor's registrar of choice. Also, the original email has a lot wrong with it as well. The sender's not normal. Obviously, that extra S in the name, the machine immediately knows, well, that's not normal. That's different to the normal sender. There's a financial request which is not normal from someone you've never corresponded with before. There's language suggesting a fraudulent account update, so on it goes. There's so much wrong with that first email that a machine can easily remove this using behavioural signals. This is the classic RFQ, request for quote. I'm sure most of you in the room have seen these. Threat actor reaches out, says, hey, I want to set up a business account. I really like the products you're selling. Can we do business? I'm going to place an order. And you get a overly zealous sales rep. Yeah, well, let's set you up with an account and we'll get you those goods, and then the payment never comes through. So threat actor goes and Googles Queensland Health, finds all the details he needs, reaches out to an electronics retailer, says, hey, I want to set up a business account. The retailer says, sure, fill in these details. All available from the web. Registered a very funky looking domain that to the trained eye doesn't look anything like a Queensland government domain, but to this very keen salesman, he's landed a big fish. There's 97,207 employees here. They're going to buy heaps. And who else would know the exact number of employees other than someone that actually works for Queensland Health? So Ahmed replies, all done. Business account set up. What do you need? Threat actor, 40 laptops, please. Now, threat actor hasn't done their research. These are old laptops. But that's okay. Ahmed can help out. Here's some new ones. These are available in lots of 40. So just through that simple bit of social engineering, appealing to the sales guy's need to sell big amounts, the threat actor's on their way to receiving goods without paying for them. 30-day terms, they're never going to pay. So again, looking at the original email, it was sent using the user agent Zoho mail. That certainly doesn't look like Exchange or any of the standard ones. The user here, Jake, or the threat actor, has used a real Jake that actually works for Queensland Health. This organisation had already dealt with Jake. So Jake, the normal Jake, doesn't actually use Zoho mail normally. So that's a red flag. There's an RFQ scam language in this email. The domain was 1 day old, classic story. And the domain was registered with a registrar that doesn't look anything like the registrar normally used by Queensland Health. So very quick and easy for a machine to pick these obvious signs up and remove that email. This always astounds me. I've come across a lot of gift card fraud in my time looking at customer threats, and people still fall for them, even today. And what threat actors have worked out is that if they go for people who generally help others, so exec assistants, nurses, those in a job where they're there to help, are more than willing to help buy gift cards. The standard method, I've got a surprise for some staff. We want them to receive gifts. Your confidentiality will be highly appreciated. Don't want to spoil the surprise. This went to 19 recipients. Sorry, I need some more water. And there's plenty of engagement. Your secret's safe with me. How many and what amounts? I want to help however I can. Please let me know how I can assist. Sure, I can help. I'm available these times today. What do you need? Threat actor then goes back to Tilly. Amazing. I need you to purchase 5 Visa gift cards with $500 on each. How soon can you get this done? This is another one impersonating the same CEO only 2 months later into the same organisation, different recipients. Same engagement. This time, I need you to purchase 8 gift cards, $500 face value. The response, just attached a screenshot. Vanilla Visa is American, just want to make sure this is what you want. My corporate card limit is $1,000. I could grab Chris's card if he's okay to know about this. Otherwise, is there other executives I can use? Can also lie and say, I'm getting a refer a gift card for the time being. So a very willing participant here. Here's one from Barry, supposedly, I think he was the CEO. I don't know if Barry would normally use debbiemark@gmail.com. Doesn't look very normal to me. Nonetheless, the recipient fell for this. But a tool that's looking at things like the display name can easily look in the global address list and say, or look in Active Directory and say, this person is, the display name matches someone in your organization, oh, and they're a VIP, and they don't normally use a Gmail account, especially not debbiemark888. Using GPT-based analysis, it's very easy to detect the intent. So we can see language around gift cards, credit cards, purchasing. There's a date in there as well. Combining all of that, it's now very clear this is just simple social engineering. Same as before, unusual sender, gift card fraud language, unusual sign-off, suspicious financial request. So obviously, behavioral science and behavioral AI is the good use of AI. Threat actors are, as we all know now, using Gen AI for malicious intent as well. It really has transformed what they can do in terms of social engineering. And the example I'm going to give will be no surprise to anyone in this room. But essentially, this is a test. I'm going to take a set of instructions, some bank details as the variables, and a previous email thread. And the idea here is that this could all be scripted. The instructions can be replayed via the API over and over again, just with new bank details each time, and maybe with a previous email thread each time. Now I'm going to take the instructions, which is please write a response from person 1 back to person 2 to have them update bank details. Keep it sincere, casual, brief, personal referencing the last correspondence. Make sure that if they have any questions, to send you a text. Here's the bank details and the person's names involved, phone number, and the previous email thread. And this thread talks about, sorry for the delayed response, it's been raining here a lot in Perth, I've been a bit unwell, have a great weekend. Now GPT does a fantastic job of interpreting the request, incorporating the bank details in the email. This is what I've pasted in obviously at the top. There's the previous email as well. And I'm going to hit send here. So it creates this casual, personal, sincere email. Hope you're feeling better after dealing with the rain, taking some time to rest over the weekend. I want to drop you a quick note to request a small update on our end. Could you please update your accounts payable system with new bank details? Here they are. Appreciate your attention. If you have any further questions, feel free to shoot me a text. Thanks a bunch and take care. So it's personal, it's sincere, it's very much in context with the previous correspondence that was seen. So easy for a threat actor. Now, what if you don't have the original email thread to reference? Well, there are tools out there that will go and do all the homework for you. One of our own engineers actually wrote this. It was apparently during a hackathon. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that it's available on the public internet, but anyway. You can request an ask. So in this case, we're going to ask it to create a convincing email from an external colleague asking him to engage by clicking a link. We're going to use our victim here, Tim. Tim Bentley works for Abnormal. We're disambiguating his name by putting his current employer on the end. And this tool will basically scour the internet to build a profile of Tim. Searches all the standard social media sites, looks for career history information, news articles, posts, LinkedIn updates, tweets, whatever they're called now under X, and basically builds a profile that it can then use to create a phishing email, a socially engineered email. So it discovers his, the company he works for, his country manager at Abnormal Security, finds his phone number, drills in on the correct LinkedIn profile that is Tim's LinkedIn, so it has a high degree of confidence this is the correct one. Learns a bit about his education. I mean, that can also be referenced in the phishing email. And then writes this incredible email. We've been following your impressive work at Abnormal Security, thought leadership on the API-based approach. We're hosting an APAC Cybersecurity Summit. The summit directly aligns with the advanced work you and your team are doing at Abnormal Security. So Tim loves an ego massage. Perfect for him. He's always tweeting about how wonderful he is and the product is. Why wouldn't he click? Your impressive contributions and innovative insights. You'd be an invaluable addition to our lineup of speakers. Be delighted if you could join us. Go click the link. Insert phishing link here. Now this is fully automated. Threat Actor has done nothing to actually learn about Tim other than hit return with a name in it. So instead of having 2 or 3 emails a week that are cleverly crafted and very specific to the victim, Threat Actor now can use GenAI to send hundreds or thousands of emails that are all specific to the victim based on research done on the public internet. And of course, the choice of victim, you could also ask ChatGPT to provide. Go find me the top 5 executives at Westpac. Let's put them in as the target. So how do we deal with this sort of problem? Now, I've already given away some of the answers. The behavioral AI side of this is really where it matters. This is where the rubber hits the road. If the email is written by ChatGPT, and there are tools that will allow you to do statistical analysis to see what's the chance of these words appearing based on a ChatGPT bot or GPT, it doesn't matter that it was well written, grammar's correct, good punctuation. The intent is still the same. In this case, the intent is still to commit payroll fraud, even though it was written by ChatGPT. All the same signals are there as well. The sender's unusual. Display name matches a VIP, so it's a name impersonation. There's language suggesting payroll fraud, a financial request, so on it goes. This is another invoice fraud example like before, written with ChatGPT. Same thing applies. BCC'd recipients, unusual sender, suspicious financial request, name impersonation, and on it goes. Lots of signals, even for a basic socially engineered attack with no links and no malware. What about a QR code? I hope everyone puts their hand up here. Who's seen QR codes used as an attack? Yes, pretty much everyone. At least 70 or 80% of you. Yeah, it's a clever way. You're obviously getting the URL out there without having to send it in the email. The attack moves to the victim's phone, moves off your corporate controlled device. But a lot of the time, the URL actually is a unique URL for the victim. So it's not going to match. Even if you decode the QR, the URL won't match a threat intel database. Also, threat actors build their scripts now so that if you crawl the URL with a bot or some kind of scripted crawler, the script can detect that and just punch you out to google.com. So unless you're sitting in a browser and able to click the button to say, yes, I'm human, or solve a puzzle, or they use Cloudflare a lot actually to make sure you're human, crawling the URL for this is also going to fail. But fortunately, the email that delivers it actually tells the story. There's no need to decode the QR. Again, the email has the unusual sender. It's failing authentication in this case. There's invisible characters coming from an automated system. We can even look for logos. In this case, Microsoft. If it's not sent from Microsoft, then that's a red flag. Now, what if the attack is coming from another source other than email? SMS phishing, WhatsApp is used a lot to send malicious links, Teams, other sources. That same behavioral AI just covered can also look at account activity. So the Microsoft account or other SaaS applications to see, is the login behavior normal? Now, we were on a call with a customer last year, and midway through the call, we went and looked in the portal, our portal, just to see what was going on. We noticed we had this new alert about an attack that had just occurred, a user's account compromised. And we said, oh, do you guys know about this? And we went, sorry, know about what? Oh, well, we've just seen this particular user has a new MFA device registered. One day later, there was a login to their account from Japan using Mac OS as the operating system, which is not normal. This user uses Windows. ISP, IP address, everything else was also not normal. 2 days later, on the same account, a mail filter was created to match on the word donation. So the account was probably going to be used for gift card fraud. And all those signals combined gives us a high confidence that that account's been compromised. Well, all of them on the call suddenly went very quiet. They stopped talking to us, and they were busy typing, busy closing the account and clearing it out. The customer was trialing our product at that point, but in production, obviously, we can remove or stop that access to the account. So the point is those same behavioral signals can be applied not only to email but to the login as well, to the account access. So to summarize, behavioral AI is very good at detecting socially engineered attacks, the types we just talked about earlier. The examples that we all found, well, I presented, I should say, were all found by our product. The ones we've all seen, invoice fraud, payroll fraud, and scams, and so on. If it's day zero phishing or day zero malware that's never been seen before, doesn't match threat intel, is brand new, it doesn't matter. The email that delivers that payload is what tells the story anyway. So there's plenty that can be gleaned without even needing to crawl the URL. And then just the example I just covered around account takeover, the same behavioral AI can be used to detect malicious activity in accounts. So that's the end of my slides. I am free for questions. I don't know how much time we've got to the end of the session, is it? 9 minutes. 9 minutes, cool. I've got any questions? Just here. Oh, we're going to pass a microphone around.
I just wanted to share an interesting one around the gift card scam that you mentioned earlier around VIP impersonation. We're finding that new starters in particular, as soon as they update their LinkedIn profile, they're instantly being targeted by impersonation attacks. And
you're the second person that's told me that today.
Yeah, and they're not even communicating via the corporate email. So they've obviously got a database of contact details, personal email addresses and so on, and start to try that avenue. So just something to be aware of. But we cover that in the induction program, like on day one with staff, to try and cut that off at the knees. But all our current processes can't really stop that because it's outside of our corporate network.
So do you think threat actors are signing up as recruiters on LinkedIn? So they get those notifications? Is that how they know? I don't know.
They must be scraping, I think. It's right. Yeah, it looks like scraping, but just thought I'd share anyway.
Yeah, it's great insight. Thank you.
Any other questions?
One down here.
Oh, yeah.
It's being recorded, so you have to use the mic, apparently.
That was really interesting. Thank you. Just out of curiosity, really, can you give us a sense of the value?
That was me, sorry.
The value of those attacks that you discussed?
Well, the first one was only 40,000, the fraudulent invoice. The attempted release of the money in trust was nearly $1 million. Most of the time, the reason we're talking to new prospects, ones that are interested in our technology, is because they've paid a fraudulent invoice worth that or more. One very unfortunate customer had paid two $1 million payments, both around construction, that were both to a fraudulent bank account. Makes our product very cheap. I'll try not to walk.
Any other questions?
What about when an email's already compromised coming from somebody else, and it's not a fraudulent email, it's actually a legitimate one, but that company's been compromised?
Yes.
Detection?
There are still signals. So the authentication, SPF, DKIM and DMARC is still going to be valid, correct? But that's just one signal out of many that we're looking for. What often happens is in the headers, we'll actually see a foreign location where the email originated. So the client IP address is going to be different. We'll also see an intent that is suspicious. So banking update, need a new invoice paid to a different bank again. Or we also look at the cadence of emails that are normally going back and forth. We actually track vendors specifically. We have a separate part of our product that watches for any third party sending an invoice or remittance advice. And we actually also track, we federate that information as well. You can even go into the portal and see it. So if other customers of that vendor, that supplier, have also seen bad email from that same supplier, we'll mark them as high risk. So that's another signal we can use. There's often blind copied recipients. It's maybe a different recipient at the organisation to someone that normally gets an email. They're often trying to reach out to others to get something changed or paid. So there's usually enough signals to still detect the threat.
Any more questions? All right. Would you please thank Matt?
Yeah. Come and see me at the booth later.